Hey everybody, as promised, here is just a few final reminders and context for the final paper. So let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so first of all, review what exists. Like other papers, the assignment description has a video already giving context to talk through what the paper looks like. Likewise, the assignment description, please review that and know that the collapsed calls for content in the first sections are the exact same as they were in the previous papers, which is why you're encouraged to draw and use from that previous content. And just to reiterate what I'm talking about, here as we look at Module 9, you can have that video show up of me talking about the course. Then here's these first sections. So the quality context, your definition of quality, Susky framework, describe your institution. You've done all that in your previous papers. So draw from your previous papers for that. Likewise, the external quality, right? Identifying the current standing with institutional state, programmatic accreditors. Again, you've done all that, right? So I didn't want to overwhelm you with the information here, but know that these prompts, they should feel familiar and seem familiar. They're exactly what they were, although a little more detail perhaps was provided in the individual assignments. So go based off what you had and feedback I've given you on the previous papers. Same thing within the internal quality. This is the Module 6 paper. It has those respective components. So again, you should be largely drawing from your previous paper. So your previous paper, sorry. But review also the assignment rubric. You'll notice the majority of the dimensions in rubric are exactly the same as your previous papers. So again, like the descriptions, this is intentional. I want to reward and account for the fact that you are, you've learned this stuff, or that, based on feedback you received, you've made any changes so that in this final paper, you are demonstrating that learning that you have. And make sure to familiarize yourself with the new content. And so again, going back to the assignment, everything, these first three big chunks, the quality context, external quality, internal quality, that's all stuff you've done before. But these are the new sections. So culture of evidence and culture of betterment. You have not done a paper on that. This is new content that you're tackling for the first time in this final paper. Same with this recommendations and conclusions. So based on everything that you've written about and everything you know about your institution, as well as what you know about quality assurance, all of it, internal, external, what recommendations and conclusions would you provide here? So follow these prompts, familiarize yourself with these prompts, and also, look to the rubric to help you for what's called for in those sections. So reminders for the final paper, you should absolutely use content from your Module 4, External Quality Assurance, Module 6, Internal Quality Assurance paper. And yes, when I say that, you can absolutely copy and paste. Be aware that this is your final paper, though, so it's all part of a larger narrative or story. As such, your introduction and conclusions and some of your transitions may need adjusted a little bit. Likewise, your headers may need to change levels because it's not just one paper. This is part of a larger paper, and so your headers are probably going to kind of go down a level from level 1 to level 2, level 2 to level 3, because it's all being put in one big paper. Technically, APA says that if you're citing another paper or work that you should cite accordingly, but don't worry about that. I have designed the assignments in this course to build off of one another in this way. I know you're going to be pulling from those assignments, so you don't need to cite yourself from your other papers. You still need to cite references like you're expected in those papers, but you don't have to say like Jay Levy in Module 4 paper. Like you don't have to do that, but so don't worry about that. Don't worry about like rephrasing things differently from how you have them in the first paper, as long as it wasn't problematic there. And I also want to say that based on student feedback and how assignments have been coming in, I went ahead and adjusted the page length for this final paper to increase to 17 to 28 pages for content, right? So not including title page, not including references. And this is to account for the fact that, the first paper, most folks were okay, although folks that had a ton of accreditors, their papers went long. So instead of the 5 to 7, bumping up to 6 to 9. For the second paper, too, papers were longer. So instead of 5 to 7, bumping up to 6 to 9. And same thing, to make sure you have plenty of room for this new content, saying it should be 6 to 9 pages. So when you add all that up, wanted to accommodate for the fact that 17 to 28 pages. If you happen to come in underneath that, again, as long as you use the feedback in your previous papers and feel really good about the other papers, don't worry too much about it. You'll also notice I made sure the paper length is accommodated in the assignment description and the rubric, but I noted that you can be within 2 to 4 pages on either end of it. So you could potentially be 4 pages under or 4 pages over. So you have plenty of room to either be a little more concise or a little have more room to explain what you're talking about. And I want to touch on remaining timeline for the course from now, right? So now we are starting week 8. Week 8 is November 14th through the 20th. Next week, week 9 is November 21st through the 27th. Your final paper is due at the end of week 9, November 27th. Week 10, the final week of the course, is the 28th through the 4th, which means technically class ends at 12 a.m. Central on December 5th, which means the last chance to submit or complete anything, papers, discussions for that final week, is 11:59 p.m. Central, December 4th. And just so you all know, December 19th is the date when final grades have to be sent in to the registrar for processing. And I'm sharing this note so you know the latest date when respective final grades being released and published. But also, given this information, plan accordingly, think accordingly to your time, your energy, your efforts, and with the things that are due between now and the end of the course. If you have things going on, I mean, there's a big holiday in between here. Let me know if there's going to be any complications or if you want to talk through some flexibility on things. But going into that piece, as a final plea, I'm here to help however I can, right? And so I've met with a lot of folks individually outside of the one-on-one assignments, with respect to papers, as well as questions I have of how to approach things or extensions for deadlines. Hopefully folks who've done that would attest that it's beneficial, right? And that it's been helpful for them to get answers to their questions, to receive guidance, or just to better understand feedback that I've been giving, or aspects of the assignment, like the rubric or the prompts in the assignment. I'm happy to, there's no question too small. And likewise, I am happy to do whatever I can to help you succeed, including reviewing outlines, reviewing drafts, answering any and all questions as you're preparing for the final paper or as you're working through the final paper. So please don't hesitate to reach out as we're nearing the end of the course here. So one of the things I've been saying all course that I'm going back on myself a little bit is that I can try to give soft grades and the potential for a rewrite for the final paper. However, no guarantees, because these final papers are long. It's a lot of information, a lot of things to check. So it's going to take longer for me to grade it. Likewise, if anyone is expecting accommodations or turning their paper in later than the end of week 9, November 27th due date, then there's less room for me to potentially grade and turn it around. As such, if you want to try to do a rewrite, I strongly recommend your best chance at that being possible is to turn your paper in as early as you can. Because even if you turn it in at the due date, I still can't guarantee that I'll be able to get through paper and get it back to you, and that then you'd have time to do a rewrite. Likewise, I know on the previous slide it said like December 19th final grades are due. You might think, oh well, we have wiggle room past the final date of the course. Not really, because finalizing the grades is a lot more than me just grading the final paper, because there's other things that go into the process. Likewise, there can be other extenuating circumstances to be cleaning up as the course ends. Likewise, that is the drop dead date to get information to the registrar. So as faculty members, we are encouraged to get grades and everything in before then. So I say all that to say that given institutional systems, processes, not to mention the forewarning, the preparation, the accommodations I'm already providing, it would take extreme circumstances to accommodate someone who needs, not once, needs to turn something in beyond the course close date. So please do not bank on that being a possibility. Likewise, as I said, I will try hard, but there is no guarantee that I'll be able to get you all soft grades on your papers and that you would have time to rewrite them. But I'll do my best because, again, I want to help however I can. And I've been trying to accommodate with the other papers to give people a chance to rewrite. So I will try. But the best thing for you to do to help me there is to make sure your papers are in on time and early if possible. And if that's not going to work for you, feel free to take advantage of me on the front end, right? Or while you're working on the paper, call a meeting and we'll check in and I can review what you have so far and give you feedback. So yeah, hopefully this helps. I thought it'd be helpful, even just to like see the remaining timeline and best think about what's left and try and adjust your schedule, put forward your energy and know what I'm willing to do, right? But also know my limitations and know too that like I don't have to give you a chance to rewrite, but I really want to because I believe it's important for you all to get the opportunity to demonstrate your learning, whatever that looks like, not just necessarily your first attempt at the learning, which is why I think it's helpful to provide the chance for rewrites. But again, these final papers are long and they're right at the end of the course here. So there's not a whole lot of time to do these things. So I strongly recommend if you want to try a rewrite, getting your paper in as early as possible. Otherwise, like I said, I will do my best. As I grade your paper, I will send it back to you with feedback so that if you can do a rewrite, that you have as much time as possible to do that. But yeah, if things aren't turned in by the end of the course and you've not made me aware of some serious life situation, when the course ends and your grade will be what it is. So should you have any life circumstances going on, please make me aware of them. Otherwise, please use this information accordingly. And again, please reach out. The more I know and you're communicating with me about what's going on, the more I can try and help, the more I can give guidance, the more we can come up with a game plan that'll help both of us, right? Make sure I try and dedicate time according to when your stuff might be coming in, as well as best support you and make you feel as confident as you can and try and minimize stress here with these final pieces. So I hope this is helpful. Again, watch the original video, look at the assignment description, look at the rubric, and reach out with any other questions. Good luck putting it all together. This ends up being a really cool final product, and I'm really excited to see what you all put together. Okay. We'll be in touch. See you in D2L.